And we are live. Welcome everybody to Under Construction. I'm Rodney, joined by Kaiser Sose and brother Danny Thompson. How you guys doing today?
Beautiful day in paradise. What can you say?
Well, hold on. Before we proceed, I want to wish a very happy birthday to Mr. Kaiser Sose. Clap it up for him. And I also want to wish everybody a beautiful Mother's Day. Enjoy your day, and we're going to jump into it. Danny, so how have you been this week?
It's been a crazy week. Man, I just got, between the passing of my aunt this morning, then you had Andre Harrell yesterday, you had Little Richard, you had Betty Wright this morning. But we had Jill Scott and Erica Badu last night, so it kind of balanced out some of the things of life. But everything is beautiful, though.
My condolences to you, man. So, Kaiser, how have you been?
Maintaining, bro. Just
maintaining.
It's been tough for IT guys these last few months, actually. So it's a new normal now. Everyone's working from home, and that's just the way it is. So,
all right, so we're gonna jump into it. The NFL released the schedule this past week. We're gonna talk about the Panthers and unfortunately the Falcons. I'm gonna go first. So, Danny, predict the record for your Falcons this year, man.
I think the high side of things 10-6, low side of things maybe 7-9.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Atlanta has the ability to outscore teams. So when you have the ability to outscore teams, you have a chance to win a lot of games. The question I have with Atlanta is that normally games against Tampa Bay you're supposed to be able to win is going to be much more difficult to win now.
Yeah.
So we always split with the Saints every year. You already know how Atlanta and Carolina get down anyway, so that's another story by itself. But Atlanta has the NFL's toughest schedule based upon teams' records last season. We have the NFL's roughest schedule, and then the last three weeks of the season do not give us any favors. We play Tampa, Kansas City, Tampa the final 3 weeks of the season.
Jesus.
Like, it's a brutal stretch, but if Atlanta can stay healthy on defense and not lose any key pieces, we can probably be the second or third best offense in football, maybe fourth, points-wise. So we can score points. It's just the fact of can we stop enough on defense. So that's what I said, 7-9 on the low side, 10-6 on the high side.
So, Kaz, let me ask you a question. Do you agree with Danny's assessment, or do you think it's horse clock?
No, I agree. The only thing is the thing with strength of schedule is there's typically very little correlation from the previous year's strength of schedule to the current year. It's almost like, man, our schedule's so hard this year, and then you look, and then those teams end up not being that good the next year. However, with Atlanta, or not just Atlanta, but just with the NFC South in general, the Tampa Bay situation murky the water. Because Tampa was a terrible team last year. They weren't terrible, but I mean they weren't as good as we project them to be this year. So, whereas if you look at the strength of schedule and Tampa is on it this year, Tampa is going to be a much stronger team than they were last year. So, your strength of schedule might be, in Atlanta's case, might be a little bit harder, but I don't disagree with that assessment. I think 10-6 on the high, you're always going to have, the issue with, you're always going to have the Saints.
Yeah.
There. And we, like I said, we project Tampa Bay to be much better. So I think that's a fair assessment.
I actually agree. I hate to say that I agree. One thing that works on Atlanta's side for me is the actual continuity piece. They've been together for some years now. Same coaching staff. They'll probably be able to get the ball rolling quicker than a lot of other teams. And they'll probably steal some wins at the beginning of the year because of that continuity piece.
And that too, and also like you look at Tampa. You said Tampa is pretty much a brand new offense.
Yeah.
New Orleans is pretty much the same. The only addition is just Emmanuel Sanders. Even with Carolina has a whole bunch of new offensive parts everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So the longer that these teams are away from each other, like I don't know if Tampa's going to have the best start to start the season.
No, I don't think so either.
I don't want to play Tampa in December. after Thanksgiving, because you don't want to play them late in the season like we do twice. I think y'all avoid that one.
Will probably be out for the season at that point. So he can't stay healthy a whole year.
You know what? I think even with Gronk's situation, you still have, if they haven't traded OJ Howard, you still have Cameron Brate. Yep. As long as you let Gronk play in the red zone.
Yeah.
You have him in the red zone. That's all you need.
He's a situational player.
Listen, and if he's only playing 25, 30 plays a game, that's all you need. Yeah. Just trying to guard him in the red zone.
I'm going to throw a curveball here. I don't think Tampa's going to be as good as we think they are. I think the Belichick effect is going to loom large.
But when you say not as good, are we saying 12-4 not good, or maybe 10-6 not good?
I think 11-5.
Well, I mean, they were 8-8 last year.
Yeah,
7-9. We beat them last week of the season.
Yeah, they'll be like 9-7, 10-6. I mean, they weren't a terrible team last year. They've got a better quarterback, a better tight end. They'll be a better team, but everyone thinks that they're contenders now because they got possibly the greatest quarterback of all time. But I think we are discounting how much of an influence Bill Belichick was on the dominance of the New England Patriots. That system is not going to be Tampa Bay's system. Yeah. We know how well the Belichick system worked. You could take anybody off the street and plug them into the Patriots, and then they were going to be able to perform. I don't know if you're going to get that in Tampa. I don't know if Brady's going to have to hold these guys to the same standard he held his Patriots teammates, which may not work the way that we all think it's going to work. So.
Yeah, but you don't have a quarterback throwing 30 interceptions either.
Good point.
30 interceptions, 7 pick sixes. What was it? Was it 6 interceptions in the fourth quarter and 3 of them were taken back for touchdowns? Brady knows how to throw the ball away. So
I mean, can Brady push the ball down the field still at an effective level?
Let's just look at Jameis Winston. 60% of his passing yards was when the Buccaneers were behind.
Good point.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They weren't like a terrible team, and with a better quarterback, they'd be better. I don't know if they're better than the Saints.
No, I don't do that.
No, they're not. Yeah.
But that's the expectation that Tampa got Tom Brady. So the NFL is not like the NBA. I don't think you can a single great player, and just plug them into a completely different system, and then that team is now a contender. It's not the LeBron James effect. I don't think you get that. Especially we're talking Tom Brady is my age, so so I know he's an athlete, and I sit at home playing video games all day, but he's still a 40-plus-year-old quarterback with almost 20 seasons in the NFL. This is not the same Tom Brady.
Good point. Speaking of not being able to push the ball down the field, the Carolina Panthers schedule has been released as well. Over under 3 wins, guys. What do you have?
I'd say over.
Yeah,
over under 3.
Well, okay. So here's the enigma with the Panthers. Typically, you base a team's their predictive success on the previous season. But it's too hard to do that with the Carolina Panthers because they're like a completely different team.
New organization, everything.
Yeah, but they didn't do a complete rebuild. We still have Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore. They have enough pieces. The fact that Cam Newton is not there is a non-factor because he wasn't here last year.
Yeah.
So we have a more capable quarterback than Kyle Allen and Teddy Bridgewater. So I think the Panthers actually might get better on the offensive side of the ball. And defensively, which was the Panthers, actually that was their biggest weakness last year, is they couldn't stop the run. They pick up one of the best defenders in college football. They went all in on defense on the draft. All in.
Yeah.
It literally went all in on defense. It's just too hard to say. Having said that, I think 7-9 is the ceiling. They'll be better than they were last year, which was 5 wins. I think they'll be better than 5 wins. Looking at their schedule, I mean, they have it's not like I don't think it's a killer schedule, but it's not like an easy schedule. There are games on there they should win, and that's That's what it's gonna come down to. Do you beat the teams that you're supposed to beat? They're not gonna. At best, we can maybe split with our division rivals, and that's only because they're division games. So it's the Panthers are an enigma with I can see them being anywhere from 5-11 again to 7-9 at the ceiling. I don't think they'll be worse than they were last year, though.
It's like you said, it's tricky to me. Defender like we don't have like our defensive backcourt is probably one of the worst in the NFL.
Yeah.
And those guys take time to actually learn the game and gel together. I mean, if you think go back to 4 years ago, Julio Jones gave us 300 yards. Can we honestly say that defensive backfield is better than that 300-yard backfield?
Well, yeah, actually, yeah. Because
you think so?
Look, that year, we had Josh Norman, and James Bradbury was not as good as he is now, and he wasn't our number one DB. Josh Norman left, and Julio Jones went absolutely crazy because the best DB in the division was now playing at Washington.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we're better, but here's another thing. I think our front end, as far as our defensive line, is not going to be that bad next year. And if you have a good defensive line, you can cover a lot of deficiencies on the back end, which a lot of people argued the year the Panthers went to the Super Bowl, they were good because our defensive line could get to the QB, and that allowed Josh Norman to sit back in that zone and wait. With the defensive line, I think looking solid. We don't know if they're going to be good or not, but I don't think they're going to be bad. It might not be such a huge learning curve for our defensive backs. I think the defense is the big question mark. I'm fine with the offense, with the Panthers offense. I think they'll be fine. They got one of the best check down guys in the league.
Yeah.
And they got the best check down running back / wide receiver in the league. DJ Moore.
He's getting better every week.
They got Robbie Anderson, who's going to, but he's at least going to stretch the field. If nothing else, he can't.
Listen. He can't be. He's not going to have a worse quarterback situation than Sam Darnold. He's not going to have a worse team offensively. The only thing that Teddy can't do that Sam could do is Sam can throw the ball down the field. I think to Kaza's point, Carolina's offense isn't going to be as bad as people make it out to be because he said DJ can. DJ's going to have a lot more route running responsibilities, but Robbie can take you over the top. Right. And even though Carolina might have the worst of the four receiving cores in the division, they're arguably almost a top 10 receiving duo.
Yeah.
If you look at the entire league.
If you look at McCaffrey.
If you count McCaffrey, your receiving core, I count McCaffrey, is still top 10 probably in the whole league. You might be worse than the division, but it's top 10 in the whole league. I think to Kaza's point also is that the secondary, as long as Carolina gets pass rush, because you have three quarterbacks.
They were a top 5 pass rush team last season, amazingly enough. That's a mind-blowing stat. As bad as they were,
we couldn't stop that run. We couldn't stop the run.
And the bad part is, if within a division that has three quarterbacks that can throw the ball down the field, with receivers that can throw down the field, if Carolina can have a top 5 pass rush, they could be a 7-9, maybe 8-8 team. Only saying that they have to get through that stretch at the end of October to Thanksgiving, where you're looking at it was the kind of the same stretch Atlanta has to deal with when you're dealing with Atlanta, you're dealing with New Orleans, you're dealing with Tampa, you're dealing with Kansas City, in between Detroit and Chicago.
Yep.
And so if they can get through that stretch of games and the pass rush looks, I would say, even top 12, you're not tanking for Trevor at this point. But if Atlanta gets torched in the secondary, you're going to be picking number 1 overall next year, probably.
Well, the Panthers are going to, and this is going to be the big thing when it comes to the Panthers record, they're going to lose games due to coaching. That's not to say that Matt Rule is going to be a bad coach.
He's just a rookie.
Rookie NFL coach. He's going to make some poor decisions. The media and probably us are going to crucify him for those decisions. He's got to learn, just like Ron Rivera before him, John Fox before him. Those guys had to learn from their mistakes. Matt Rule is going to make those mistakes. The Panthers are going to lose games that they should have won, and that's going to be a big thing as far as their record is concerned. Also, like I said,
a 7-year contract lets you learn those mistakes.
Not for long, Lee. They'll carry that thing in a second.
The pitchforks will be out in Charlotte. And Matt Rule, I'm telling you, 3 seasons. It took Ron Rivera 3 seasons.
3 seasons.
To a Super Bowl team. Took John Fox 2 seasons. Matt Rule is on the clock. He can't take 5 seasons and we don't win the division. I will say this though, when we spoke about this on a previous episode, right now, as much as I like Teddy Bridgewater, he's the 4th best quarterback in our division.
Yep.
But if you look at the other quarterbacks in our division, they are on the downside of their careers. They are probably past their prime. Matt Ryan being the closest to his prime. Eventually, they're gonna fall off. We saw Drew Brees start to get old last season.
The season before.
Yeah, one day he's just gonna get old. Okay, he's just gonna get old, and that's gonna be it. Tom Brady's gonna get old, and that's gonna be it. So, assume that's 3 seasons from now. Matt Rule and the Panthers will be in a good position, and Teddy Bridgewater in a good position at that point, because those teams will be scrambling to rebuild. Atlanta still got some time on Matt Ryan, but as far as Tampa and New Orleans go, Matt Rule can make the timeline work for him.
Hey man, look, New Orleans has an all-pro called Taysom Hill, who's ready to take the reins.
Y'all are counting those days. We're all counting those days down. We cannot wait for that one.
Oh, I'm excited to see that.
But one thing with Carolina is that their schedule for Matt Rule at the first 4 weeks, they can end up 500, even 3-1 the first 4 games.
Yeah.
Like they gave them, the Raiders at home. That's a winnable game at home. It's like the Raiders. It's a winnable game. The Tampa game in week 2.
That's a loss to me.
I mean, that's Brady's home opener. That's liable for foolishness. But then going to LA in week 3. Yeah. I mean, whether it be Tyrod Taylor or whether it might be even Justin Herbert at this point, you don't know who's going to be the quarterback at that point. The Chargers still have issues with stopping the run. And you remember, you don't have to go Melvin Gordon. Austin Eckler is the full-time running back now. So they don't have that Austin Eckler coming on 3rd down. So you might be able to win that Chargers game. And as good as Arizona has made moves in the offseason, it's like we talk about the teams in our division, Arizona has to gel. You have to add DeAndre Hopkins to this offense. Yeah. It's going to take time. Kyler Murray's in his 2nd year in the league. Murray's super talented, but he's never had – I don't know if he's had receiving core like this even at Oklahoma. Like you have – You have DeAndre Hopkins, who you have to get the ball, Hall of Famer Larry Fitzgerald, and Christian Kirk had 1,000 yards last season receiving. You still have Kenyon Drake, and like I said, it's his 2nd year. So Carolina could end up 3-1 before you got to make that trip down I-85 to Atlanta, and then you go through that stretch of games.
Oh, I think that's might be the worst thing.
Oh, Madden.
For the Panthers to start off on fire, because then the sentiment is going to be these high expectations. Oh my God, the Panthers are much better. See, look at the great job Matt Rule's doing. We love David Tepper. And then what's going to happen? We know if the Panthers start off 3-1.
Why everybody?
Yeah, they start off 3-1. They are going to go on a stretch where they lose games. It's going to get harder. NFL is going to get real, especially this season, because we don't know what training camps or preseason looks like. So this could be one of those situations like 2011 where we had the lockout and then the season just started. And then, the offenses were on fire. Cam Newton comes out throwing 400 yards back to back because teams didn't have a chance to really get settled. The first 4 weeks were essentially the preseason. We could be looking at that situation again this year. Yeah. So if the Panthers start off on fire, I think that could actually be a bad thing for them because it from a perception standpoint, because the city's going to expect us to continue to be good, and then we're not going to be good, and then it's going to be like, yep, same old Panthers. They start off hot and then go on a losing streak. So
I'm just worried about you guys playing 3 games in 11 days at the end of October. That's going to be the part.
It's going to be rough, man.
The schedule didn't do y'all any favors with that one.
That's going to be up to Matt. Matt Rule's got to figure out how to mitigate that. That's something he's never had to deal with in college. So he's going to have to find a good balance between preparation and rest. That was something that Ron Rivera struggled with a lot. If you look at the Panthers record after bye weeks, it wasn't that great. So, in the beginning of his career, it wasn't, and it got better, before he left. But it took him years to find what that balance was. Yeah, that's going to be tough.
I mean, and then the thing that helped Matt Rule out is we do have a younger team, so the guys probably be able to recover a little quicker than the older guys that we had before. But that's still a monster to conquer.
I say work them.
And you know what? The one thing that doesn't help your schedule, your bye is not until until December
14th, 12th, the week 12, 14th?
December 6th is your guys. This is the bye week for you guys. So
that's good if you're a good team.
But I mean, it's 12 weeks.
You get a rest right before the playoffs. But if you're not a playoff team, then that sucks.
But the good news is that coming off that bye, Denver's at home, which is a young team. Okay, the trip to Lambeau, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
But then you got the Ron Rivera Bowl at FedEx. I call it the Ron Rivera revenge game because I know he is blitzing even up 30 points like
every play.
Chase Young.
I remember, how he used to play against Chicago. He loved playing against the Bears and the Chargers to be like, I used to be one of y'all.
Can you imagine what Chase Young is going to do to y'all?
Oh my God!
Chase Young and Ryan Kerrigan coming off the.
Montez Sweat. Everybody
after the game, the coaches come give that little fake ass handshake.
Yep.
They did. Dap Matt Rule up with a big smile on his face. Oh my God!
I mean, otherwise you'd be killing Dwayne Haskins. Now, mind you, that could be the lowest scoring game of the season. I'm gonna tell you this why. Because if Carolina's defense is on point, their quarterback is Dwayne Haskins with no weapons. So this game might be 5-3.
1972 NFL throwback game.
The Heidi Bowl Part 7 or something. He can make 5-3. So it's like, in New Orleans is at home to end the season. It might be a different game because if the Saints are resting players, for example,
the Saints don't rest players. They never rest players.
But just remember, in a year we have 7 playoff teams and only 1 bye. The Saints could be playing for that number 1 overall seed to take an additional week off.
That's another great point, Danny, about 7 teams in the playoffs this year. It is likely actually that you're gonna get a 7-9 team in the playoffs as well.
Yeah, it's possible.
Or the Dallas Cowboys, one of the two.
No, we said 7-9 teams, not 5-11.
The Cowboys were 8? They were 8-4 to finish 8-8, something like that. So they might get in 7-9.
It depends. Is Andy Dalton suiting up?
Listen, Dak Prescott.
You do. Andy Dalton, he'll get you to the playoffs.
That's all you need.
It's all you need.
Listen,
and then you swap them out. You swap Dak.
Listen. Andy Dalton is the Marvin Lewis of quarterbacks. He'll get you the playoffs. Listen, he'll get you the playoffs, but once that clock turns into the next year, hey, listen, I can't speak for you.
Real quick about the Andy Dalton situation. It always tickled me. What's up? It always tickled me because him and Cam Newton came out of the same draft, and the consensus was that Andy Dalton was a better passer of the football than Cam Newton, which I'm not going to actually argue that point because there's some truth in there. There were a lot of guys in the draft that could pass the ball more accurately than Cam Newton could out of college. But remember when Cam Newton broke the rookie passing yards record, Andy Dalton was right behind him.
Yep.
He had a 4,000-yard season. And statistically, their passing stats have been, for the most part,
about the same, identical.
Dead on the same throughout their careers. But if you look at their respective career arcs, it's just odd to me because Cam Newton was all the way up here. Heights, made it to the Super Bowl. Andy Dalton never even won
the playoff game.
Cam Newton was the MVP. At one point was the consensus the best player in football. Andy Dalton never had that, despite the fact he got to throw to AJ Green every Sunday. And then now Cam Newton's looking for a job, and Andy Dalton gets scooped up immediately by, the Dallas Cowboys. To me, that's just odd.
It's only odd because no one knows about Cam's foot. So, and Cam still believes that he's a starter in this league. So, I'm not going to argue that. Cam Newton, when he's healthy, is still one of the 10 best quarterbacks in the league, even though he can't hit like water when he throws the ball half the time. good. Listen, we can have this argument all day with this, and Rodney, I know I'll change your face on that one. He used to be a quarterback, but Cam wants to be a starter, so that's why Cam doesn't have a job right now. You know, every situation with the exception of New England, he won't be a starter in. And I don't know, and I think Belichick is doing something, and when teams can see that foot, because Kaza, would you invest $5 million in a guy who wants to be a starter with a foot that you know nothing about? Or would you take a guy, Andy Dalton, that will be willing to be a backup, take less money, be closer to home, and be happy in whatever role he is?
Oh no, yeah, absolutely. The safe move is to take Andy Dalton. The high risk, high reward is to take Cam Newton. If Cam Newton's healthy, he's going to take you to much, much greater heights than Andy Dalton could. Yeah. But if he's not healthy, then he's not. Whereas Andy Dalton, regardless of if he's not healthy, and it's just Andy Dalton, he's the backup. And if Andy Dalton's healthy, well, then you got an NFL quality starter.
Okay, guys. Okay, so we're gonna stay in Texas. So this gentleman named Earl Thomas, he was he had a gun pointed to his head, and his team is trying to cut him. What do you guys feel about that situation?
Hey, he come to Carolina.
Charlotte women don't play. Okay.
We could use Earl Thomas. I wanted him to come to Carolina. You know, when he left Seattle, I felt like the Panthers should have made a
run at him.
Yeah, you know, I think we had a chance of him coming here. You know, I try not to get too hung up on the personal lives of professional athletes because these guys are, first of all, they're at a social status that none of us really
will ever be at.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about a rich dude who likes to have some fun. And, you know, it just spilled over into this nasty situation. And the only reason we're talking about it is because it's an NFL player and the situation is kind of funny. It's kind of, the memes are really, really good. But,
hey, man, look, him and he's part of the Bang Brothers.
I mean, listen, the thing with Earl Thomas is that, I mean, I think ever since Derrick Henry stiff-armed him in the playoffs, I don't think his life has been in order. So, I mean, you got to think, though, I mean, his decision-making skills are not that good right now because if you think that was a good decision by leaving your phone at home, you know, and the thing is, I don't think he knew his wife was not wrapped too tight. I think he knew that.
Yeah.
I mean, so the decision-making process is not exactly of that. Now, mind you, he helped the Panthers on the field, of course. I think he's a 5-time better upgrade than Eric Reed and what you guys had back there last year. Anyway,
yeah.
The thing is that are they going to cut him? I don't think. Listen, you don't want that distraction. You don't want that foolishness. You don't want any of that. You don't want it, especially for a team trying to make the Super Bowl like the Ravens. They are a Super Bowl contending team. You don't want that type of distraction. If he went to Carolina, no offense, he would not be under that pressure and that spotlight to be a player that's going to be a key cog for a Super Bowl team at this very moment, which means stuff can get swept under the rug. You saw what they did with Eric Reed. Yeah. Eric Reed stayed out of the spotlight the entire time. Panther fans criticize Eric Reed more for not making the right play on the field than what he did off the field.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a different market. If Earl went to, let's just say, you know, like New York or these bigger media markets, it would be a circus and a field day. But
eat it up, man.
They eat it up. So I think, like, if they cut him, that's on him. That's just another dumb decision he has to make. Now, will he be out of the league long? I think once this happens, once this blows over, you could probably see him by midseason. Carolina would be a great place for him. I mean, like I said, they've had guys before that have been, you know, concerned, but will he be willing to take that type of role? I mean, he was, you know, he's one of the better safeties in the league. So
I got a question. So, what is a 30-plus year old man doing on Snapchat?
Living it.
What are grown men doing? What are 40-year-old men doing in Uptown Charlotte on a Saturday night? What's the difference? I mean, look. You go to any of the clubs in Charlotte.
That kind of money, you can afford a lot of premium Snapchats. You know.
My question: why was that B&B?
Look, his decision making is questionable at this point. I don't know if he would fit well in the locker room culture with a whole bunch of young guys.
Yes, he will because
he
he goes.
he would certainly fit in with a bunch of.
And the second he stays away from the girls on Bay's Ford, he'll be perfectly fine. He'll be all right.
Ooh. Woo.
I grew up on that side of town. I should know. That's what it is. You guys are we're not from Charlotte. We all understand what Bay's Ford and the west side of Charlotte is. As long as he stays away from the women on that side of town, he might make it. As long as he stays in Myers Park, stays over in South Park, he'll be just fine.
Valentine, a little bit of Valentine sprinkled in.
Go down to Pineville.
Charlotte might be good for him. I mean, y'all been to Baltimore.
Like I said,
he don't have to deal with.
He met his wife. I think his wife's from Texas, right? I think his wife's from Texas.
Women crazy, man. Texas women.
Like I said, if he stays towards Mitt Hill, go out to Matthews, maybe drive down the border a little, Waxhaw, maybe even Wadesboro. You stay away. No, not Wadesboro. That's not too far. Well, if you go down to like Matthews and Mitt Hill, and maybe even going down to maybe even Rock Hill, you'll be all right. Just don't cross that line over to
Panthers headquarters is moving to Rock Hill, practically right Fort Mill. Nice.
Yeah, go find on the Winthrop side of Rock Hill, not towards where the casino, the bingo hall used to be. Going towards Winthrop. Yeah. go towards Winthrop.
You go to Winthrop University and you cross some train tracks into Boyd Hill, you gone too far. Back up.
Yep.
Gotcha. So we're gonna talk about the Last Dance episodes 5 and 6. I know Danny is a big Michael Jordan stan. Wow. What did you love most about those episodes, man?
I'm not a Jordan stan. It's the simple fact of I'm a Jordan fan, but a Jordan stan, that's a little different. I'm not one of those folks that would throw people over the bus for Michael Jordan. Jordan's record and what he did on the court speak for himself. Off the court, it is what it is. A lot of the stuff in episodes 5 and 6, I kind of knew a lot of the stuff about it, what was going on. Every episode gets better and better. The only thing I just wish they would spend more time on the actual season. I've said it about each of the episodes, but there was I think episodes 5, the first 15 minutes, episode 5 might have been the best 15 minutes of the entire series. When they're in the All-Star game in the locker room, you see Michael Jordan, those guys just going back and forth about Kobe, talking about he ain't about to pass for shit. Like he don't give two fucks about defense. He's just really just going down the court. And you see all the guys in the locker room just laughing, and you see Magic Johnson, his little magic, his suit and everything, and you see how those guys were just camaraderie. That's the type of stuff that people don't see in locker rooms. That it's like that's the stuff you want to see. This is what The Last Dance was all about. Those special moments in the locker room. I love going back and learning history, learning about Nike and learning about like tonight. If they spend more than 5 minutes on baseball and Jordan and baseball, I'm going to change the channel probably. I know everything I need to know about the Birmingham Barons. I don't need to know nothing else. Show them swing a baseball bat, show us upper deck card, maybe a commercial, and get this off my screen. I don't need to see anything else about baseball. So, but 5 and 6 were great though, and Horace Grant's a snitch. But continue.
Really?
I am a Jordan stan because he's Michael Jordan. He's from North Carolina. He's one of us, so I got to claim him as one of our own. Now, full disclosure, I cheated and watched ahead. I've watched through episode 8, the episodes that were leaked online. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but
don't do it.
Like baseball, like baseball, you might want to just skip a little bit. But so I'll try and keep it to episode 5 and 6. This is my biggest takeaway from the whole thing is that, and we stated this on the show before, there's like this sentiment that all this stuff that we're finding out about essentially Michael Jordan being just a big jerk and doing whatever it takes to win. One, that's never been a secret about Michael Jordan. It's just that now it's being spotlighted more than it was before. And second, we glorified that with Kobe Bryant, particularly when he died. After he died, Mamba mentality. Oh, look at him. He called the White Howard soft. Mamba mentality. But yet, now we found out Michael Jordan was bullying dudes. Look, we're going to win this championship or you don't get to eat, Horace Grant.
Look, man, I would slap the shit out of Michael Jordan. Let me eat.
That was so out of pocket.
Yeah, it's like, hey, that's a bit. But then it's funny because dudes on the internet's like, no, that couldn't be me. I love Shannon Sharp, but he's like, I'm about to see Michael Jordan. No, you're not doing that. Because
I wouldn't. If John Elway slapped his food out, if John Elway slapped it. If John Elway slapping Shannon Sharp's food, Shannon Sharp's a pretty big dude.
He's huge, man.
That's country and backwoods right there. I'm not sure about that one.
Horace Grant is a bigger dude than Michael Jordan. Anybody really think that Horace Grant was like afraid to engage in fisticuffs with Michael Jordan? No, them cats.
He was kind of soft, man. He got bullied by the business, man. He kind of soft.
Yeah.
They all got bullied by the Pistons. That don't count though.
Them cats knew Michael Jordan was going to win them a championship. Michael Jordan said it himself on the documentary, winning comes at a price. So for everyone, that price is different. But I think everyone, and that's another sentiment through all the episodes, everyone, essentially, all the teammates are like, Michael Jordan was not nice. Michael Jordan was a jerk. Michael Jordan was, Will Purdue even, called him an asshole. But they knew they needed Michael Jordan to win championships, and they would do it again. You trying to tell me none of them cats, if they had to go back in time, be like, no, I'm not playing with Michael Jordan. No, nobody would say that. Them cats are like, yeah, I'd play with Michael Jordan and win 3 championships again and again and again. I don't care if he slapped food out my mouth or whatever. So the whole internet sentiment about Michael Jordan being a jerk is just amusing to me, especially considering that that's not a big secret.
So let me ask you guys a question. So how do you feel about Isaiah Thomas getting left off the Dream Team? To me, look, listen. To me, it's kind of funny that this generation gets a lot of slack for buddying up in friendships, but everybody's like, I don't want Isaiah. I don't want Isaiah either. Even though he's the best player, I don't want him. He hurt my feelings. So how do you guys feel about that?
Isaiah didn't deserve to be on the team in the first place. It didn't matter whether it was buddy or not.
Why? Because
if you look at the 12 best players, the 11 best players, because Christian Laettner was guaranteed a spot on the team. We got a guess now.
Hey, what's happening? What's going on, everybody?
Nothing much, man. How you doing?
Man, I'm all right, man. Happy birthday, cousin.
Thank you, man. Look. Danny's about to give us a master class on why Isaiah Thomas should have been left off the team. So we got to hear his horse crap right now. So go ahead, Danny.
Okay, I'm right on time then. Go ahead, bro.
Listen, you look at John Stockton deserved to be on the team regardless of what anybody says.
Yeah, he did. He agreed.
So the at this point is, who do you take off to replace Isaiah Thomas? For Isaiah Thomas.
Chris Mullin.
So you remember
Chris Mullin was the best shooter in the league at the time.
You're asking the guy 26 points a game. Now, mind you brought Larry Bird in. You needed shooting. Who else was going to shoot the ball international play? Chris Mullin was the right fit. Tell me who else are you taking off the team?
Bird could have been off the team.
You're gonna lead. You're gonna arguably. Now, Larry was an all-star. Larry was an all-star that year too.
Larry Bird's one of the 5 best.
Larry could barely walk.
Hey, quick question. Hey, quick nugget here, guys. I got a nugget real quick. So, in international play, can y'all hear me okay? Can y'all hear me? All right, so in international play, right, there's obviously zone defense in international play, which NBA players at the time were not used to, okay? So Chuck Daly, what he used to do when these international guys used to zone up and pack up the middle because we obviously had a size advantage, what Chuck Daly would do is put Larry Bird on one side of that zone and put Chris Mullin on the other side of that zone, and there went the zone. You can't defend them anymore after that. So I highly disagree that you take off Bird or Mullin on this team. You can't do that, man, because those are the best shooters you had.
So y'all are cool with affirmative action choices, okay?
No, it's not. It's not affirmative action. It's called. It's affirmative action behind the 3-point line.
Gotcha. I got you.
So who else do you take? Who else do you take off the team? You're not.
Michael Jordan said it best himself. Isaiah Thomas wouldn't have been a fit.
Well, the thing was half the team didn't like him in the first place. That's the.
If you go back and look at the criteria they had, Isaiah was a champion, all-star, probably the second best point guard ever to that point, and he competed for gold medals.
Was he the second best of all time? Was he? Does Oscar Robertson don't exist? Was Oscar Robertson don't exist?
Look, let's go back. He beat Bird, MJ, and Magic. He beat all three of them. He beat all three of them.
Triple double. Whole season.
The time, they were all top 10 players of all time. He was the undisputed leader of the Pistons.
Season-long triple double. Can you beat that?
None of that matters. And I'll tell
he
you
played
why.
against Plumbers.
If you're not a good fit, okay, so you gotta realize this was the NBA for the first time ever allowing its players to play in international play.
Yeah,
you can't lose at that point.
No.
You can't even lose. The games couldn't even be close at that point, or else it would have been a failure. You put Isaiah Thomas on that team with 4 or 5 guys who didn't like him, you run the risk of having such poor chemistry that you might have lost to a Lithuania or one of those. Because there were a few good international teams at the time. Nothing like there is today. But there were a few teams that I think might have made games close if the team chemistry wasn't good. Plus, we all know about the legendary practice, right?
Right.
Practice. Imagine Isaiah Thomas in that practice.
Jordan, can you imagine Chuck Daly put Isaiah Jordan on the same team?
Right. Look, and Isaiah Thomas not passing MJ the ball. Like, how's that gonna work?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, if you look at the roster, though, who are you replacing Isaiah Thomas with?
I mean, Clyde Drexler.
Who's going to spell Michael Jordan? Because Jordan can't play 40 minutes international play.
Hey, man, look.
Well, he probably could, but you don't want him to.
You don't want to. You don't want to play Michael Jordan 40 minutes. The only other backup shooting guard they had was Scottie Pippen, and he's not really a shooting guard.
And Chris Mullin too.
Chris Mullin's a small forward. He can't guard.
He could have played it too.
I think you could have replaced John Stockton with Isaiah Thomas and not have much follow. But I think from a chemistry standpoint and from a strategic standpoint, John Stockton was the better choice. He could shoot better than Isaiah Thomas. We know he could pass. He's
a better defender.
Right. All-time assist leader. Plus,
yes, he is. 9-time All NBA defense. Get away. All-time leader in steals. Bye, Rodney. Fix your face. Continue, Cosmo.
We know what Malone and Stockton.
0-time champion.
I mean, I
blame Jordan.
I'm okay with. So far, everyone.
Isaiah didn't have to blame Jordan.
Everyone that played on that team is okay with Isaiah Thomas not being on the team, and that should tell you a lot about the decision.
And just remember, at the end of the day, when it came down to it, when the original Dream Team was put together, Magic Johnson was the first person to make the call. When after '88, and everything happened, when they decided to get the guys together. Remember, Magic wasn't in the league at the time. Rod Thorne's first call was Magic Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back and read I've read it's one of the Dream Team books. Chuck Daly had an original list. I think it was 35 or 40 players.
40.
It was 40. 7 of those players were Piston players. He had 7. So people say Chuck Daly didn't go to bat. Daly sent the list of 40 players to Rod Thorne. 7 of them were Pistons. So it wasn't like he didn't vouch for his players. The original question went to Michael Jordan. Mike, are you in or out? Mike said, "Who's playing?"
Who all over there?
Who's all over there? Who's gonna be there? Like every other person, we go out. Who's going? Because you don't want to go someplace nobody's going.
Yeah.
Well, or more importantly, you don't want to go to a place where somebody you don't like is going to be there.
Yeah, you already know it's going to be. It's already going to be furniture move if he shows up. It is what it is. So the question came down to it. So before we blame Michael for all this, go back to the original question, because when they put the first 7 players together, Jordan was on it, Pippen was on it, Magic was on it, Barkley was on it. I want to say Bird was on it, and Patrick Ewing. And I want to say David Robinson was the original 7 they chose.
Yeah.
Because remember, Robinson played on '88's Olympic team that lost.
Yeah. The bronze medal team.
So the question was asked to Magic Johnson, because even Magic admitted this as well too. Go back to watch the Magic Bird documentary. The question was asked to Magic: who do you want on the team, Isaiah or Michael? Michael made his stance by saying one word. Isaiah said, "I want Michael more than Isaiah." So when Magic made that decision, there was nothing Isaiah could do. So before we throw Jordan on the bus for this one, go back and learn our history part of it and know Magic had a bigger influence on this than Jordan did. Jordan just said either he plays or I play. He pulled nobody's hand. But Magic Johnson, who was at the time the biggest cultural icon in the NBA before Jordan took it over, his decision was, I want the best player in the world on my team than my best friend, who also said that I was doing other things off the court, but we're not going to be. We'll take that.
Yeah, we're not going to jump into that. We're not going to jump in that mud pile. So before we close this out, I got a statement for you guys. Tell me what you think about this statement. Republicans buy shoes too.
On the surface, it's I don't know. It's a pretty empty statement on the surface. However, out of the words of Michael Jordan, I said it in jest. So do what you want to with that statement. That's all I'll say about that.
He didn't say it in public. He said it in a conversation like we're having right now. We're having a conversation on a team bus. This wasn't a press conference. This was something he said in a magazine. It was a regular, I'm riding the bus, we're leading the game. Yo, how you feel about blah, blah, blah. Man, Republicans buy shoes too. And it was taken so far out of context. Now, listen, but people fail to realize that Michael Jordan also said that I was not going to support somebody I don't know. But he also cut a check to the campaign efforts as well too. We hold athletes and people as celebrities to these higher standards. They're supposed to jump on every single thing because they're in the public eye. Yeah. They're regular people like the rest of us. I mean, what makes Michael Jordan different than Kaza? They both walk down the street. They both have to go to work. They both have families to take care of. They both have opinions. But if Kaza went out and said, man, I don't feel like doing this today. You know what? No one's going to pay attention to that.
Oh, yeah.
But if Michael said, man, I don't feel like doing this today, it's like, what? Michael's not doing this? Why? But if Kaza said it, man, it's just what it is. And no offense to Kaza, but it's like when you're on that level, that pedestal, it's unfair. Charles Barkley said it best. I am not a role model.
Yep.
Do not make your kids live your life like I do. So I don't know. It's just I don't like the statement. So
I think everyone would have liked Michael Jordan to be more socially conscious at that time in that situation. But he's a 26-year-old millionaire. He's the biggest star in the world at the time. And I think Michael Jordan is a different person socially now than he was then. And isn't that what we want from everyone? To grow? Like Ahmaud said, if you're the same person now that you were 10 years ago, you wasted 10 years of your life or something to that effect. I think Michael Jordan probably looks back at that statement and says, man, I wish I hadn't said that, but he did. And it is what it is. It's just not an indictment on the current Michael Jordan, but the problem is that Michael Jordan was such a bully to the league and his teammates that we cannot separate those two, or the media cannot. They will say, well, Michael Jordan was a dickhead here, so clearly he was being a dickhead here when it came to this Harvey Gantt situation. I don't think that was the case.
Which is a false equivalence, but yeah.
Exactly. So,
but here's my thing, man.
If you're still making those statements today, then yeah, you can hold him to that. But Michael Jordan just built a hospital in Charlotte, y'all.
Two clinics.
Two hospitals. You don't hear about that's not in the documentary. So
hey, when they gonna start production on that Bobcats Hornets documentary? When they gonna get that cracking? That's what I want to see.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. Also, in one of his last interviews, he said, like, I never thought of myself as an activist. When I'm a basketball player, that's all I focus on. I pretty much thought it should have ended right there. Like, I've always said this about whether it's people who criticize MJ or Cam Newton or anybody else from Charlotte who they feel like needs to be super Negro to say. I've always said everyone is not equipped to do it, and everyone should not have the responsibility to do it. It is a personal choice. But yet, we keep on getting in our feelings and so upset and so angry when athletes choose to not be our super Negro or are not equipped to do so. Why do we get so passionately angry about that when that is the case? I will never understand that, man.
Yeah, Michael Jordan's a political scholar. He's a basketball player.
Hey, man, look, but he owns prisons, though.
Say it again, Rodney.
He owns prisons, though.
Here we go.
Hey, man, look, it's a joke. If you guys really think he owns prisons, jump off the Cooper River Bridge in Charleston. Okay.
Right. You're part of the problem if you believe that.
Yeah. Any log you can throw on the Michael Jordan fire, the media is going to attach to. It's funny because people didn't. When LeBron James came out and defended China, no one was like,
"Oh yeah."
It's like he couldn't get China in his mouth fast enough, but LeBron James built a school.
Hey man, selective outrage, bro.
Bismarck Biyombo has like 30 schools.
Well, at the same time, it's like they jump on LeBron for not jumping on everything for social activism.
Yeah.
He jumps on as many things as possible, but the second he misses one, we act like people act like he's never done anything. Like he is stay quiet.
Which is silly, man. It's so silly. It is.
Okay, real quick before we go, unrelated. Hold up. Can we stop the Detroit Pistons sympathy that has been sweeping the nation?
Yes, we need to.
That's for Pistons fans. I have no sympathy for them.
Yes, please.
They were a great team. They were a great team at a great time. You got your proper respect. Move the hell on. Look, you will never be as popular as MJ Bird or
they never got no sympathy.
You don't have any. Look. You beat people's ass on the court.
They were NWO. That's what it was. They were the basketball NWO. That's what it was.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like you beat up people. You got the championships. You got respect. Move on. Like everybody's not going to love you.
The Pistons in the city of Detroit embraced the bad boy culture for 3-4 seasons, and now they want to like dismiss it. Some 30 years later, almost. No. You held on to that. You decided you're going to be bad boys to the end, and when you got swept out of the playoffs, even though Michael Jordan shook your hand for 3 straight years after y'all beat his ass, the second he sweeps y'all out, y'all are like, no, we're bad boys, and now you want to backtrack. No. Hold on to that. Hold on to that, Pistons fans, please.
Hey, I got a hot take. The 2004 Pistons are better than the bad boy Pistons.
I disagree on that one. The bad boys Pistons bench were better than the 2004 Pistons. There wasn't anybody on that Pistons bench in 2004 that was Vinnie Johnson or Mark Aguirre or even Adrian
Williamson, Big Nasty.
Corliss Williamson's best game was in Charlotte in college.
The 2004 Pistons, as tenacious as they were, benefited from this weird time in the NBA where the NBA was readjusting to post-Jordan era. There were a lot of rule changes. The early 2000s NBA era, I just forget that. If it wasn't for the Lakers three-peating, I even forget Detroit won the championship in 2004. Who the hell won in 2005?
I think it was San Antonio.
Spurs, the thing.
That Spurs and Pistons series.
It was so terrible.
Or even go back and watch the Spurs in New Jersey. Like, you know, the 82-79 games. Like,
yeah. Which is fun because people are like, man, 90s basketball was boring. Look at them scores in the Bulls playoffs games. Like, hello, do you not remember?
You don't remember the early 2000s?
Until Steph Curry came in the league, y'all don't remember that?
Like, y'all forget that you got teams scoring 70 in the finals. This ain't 70 in November. It's 70 in the finals. Okay.
Hey, man, look, my final hot take, Allen Iverson is overrated. But we're going to move on.
We're going to talk about this.
No argument there.
No argument. He got up and
Cosmo walked off. Cosmo pulled Cam Newton in the Super Bowl press conference. All right.
Oh man, so we're gonna move on. Unfortunately, back in February, Ahmaud Aubrey was killed by some vigilantes in Brunswick, Georgia. There's been a bunch of protests going on this past week, and yesterday and Friday, everybody was running for Ahmaud. So, how do you guys feel about this situation?
Just another sign you can't be out. It's a hard time being a black man in America. This is another sign.
The cover up is as bad as the crime.
Yeah.
Like what happened was tragic enough, but the fact that the authorities were just kind of like, well, yep, clear issue of self-defense is what's even more infuriating. I'll tell you this right now. For citizens arrest is bullshit.
Yeah.
Viewers, don't ever try and citizens arrest someone. It's fucking bullshit. If you feel like someone is a danger or a threat to your community,
call the police.
Call the authorities. Call the police. Call whoever.
Call Channel 9.
If you try and run up on me and citizens arrest me, you're gonna get this work. You're not gonna citizens arrest Kaiser Sose, especially if you got guns, because I got guns too.
Yeah.
We gonna see who guns bigger. We gonna see who out citizens arrested the other person. That's what we doing at that point. So the fact that these people who called 911 and the first thing out their mouth was, "There's a black man running in the neighborhood," not, "Hey, there's been a string of burglaries," or "We think we have a suspect." They said, "No. 911, what's your emergency? There's a black man running in the neighborhood." To me, that tells me everything I need to know about their motives.
Yeah.
You stalk this guy with guns, and then when he doesn't comply, you think that's odd?
No, it's not odd. I mean, it's frustrating, man. It's just like people think they're so entitled to where they say it's freeze. I'm arresting you, a citizen. Like, I have to listen to you. I don't have to listen to you. You are no type of authority to me. If I'm not doing nothing, leave me the hell alone. Call the police. Let me deal with the police. I'm not dealing with you. It's just frustrating. And then for this to be passed down this long, and these guys just getting arrested, it's frustrating, man. It's just simply frustrating, man. I'm sick of it. I really am. I'm to the point where it's just like I'm to the whole forgiving and all the other stuff is just crap to me. Like, look, you touch me, I'm gonna touch you back. That's how I'm feeling at this point in my life.
I mean, I can't say anything different than what you guys already said. It's just it makes you not want to go outside. It makes you want to stay in the house because, man, I can go to the store and, like, man, somebody look at me the wrong way, and guess what? I got to go through this again. It's like, I'm not. I can't. I don't have the patience, and my blood pressure ain't gonna make it either. So no.
And what's crazy to me, man, is like with this whole COVID thing going on, man. Sometimes I struggle to put a mask on because it's just like, do I really want to be judged like this today? I mean, I'm wearing it for safety, but I can have this vigilante or this scary person who thinks I'm trying to rob a store or I'm trying to do something nefarious or wrong, and it's just frustrating, man. It's just like.
Unfortunately, though, people think that anyway.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't have a problem wearing a mask. And y'all seen the mask I wear. It look crazy as hell. So, people already assume, oh, black person, he going to do something anyway. So I might as well, rock the mask. I'm tired of trying to make people comfortable around the fact that I'm black. That's just not, it's old. A black man should be able to jog in a neighborhood without being accosted by white people with guns. It's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And to me, this is this may be a watershed moment for the Second Amendment and how we view it.
Yep.
Because if you're telling me that those people that murdered him, because that's what it was, were responsible gun owners, I will tell you bullshit. I'll tell you that those people don't deserve the right or the privilege, because it should be a privilege, to own a firearm, because look at how they used it. Yep. Conversely, if every black person in America were strapped when they went jogging, we'd see gun reform tomorrow.
Just like that.
So this idea that we need the Second Amendment to protect ourselves from other people with guns, we'll see how far that flies when every black person in America has said, enough. I'm going to take a gun with me everywhere, just so some white guys in a truck don't roll up on me with their guns.
Also, before we move on, man, we need The guy who recorded the incident, he needs to be locked up too. He's an accessory to this whole thing.
He's trying to cover his ass.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he needs to be locked up too because he was part of the mob of chasing Ahmaud, and so he needs to be locked up too, man. We're gonna move on. So unfortunately, this has been a rough weekend for Black music. Andre Harrell passed away Saturday. So did Little Richard, and this morning we got the unfortunate news that Betty Wright passed away. How do you guys feel about that, man?
It hits. I mean, you go back to, like I said, you go back to Little Richard, and you think what he's did for rock and roll music, and how he did, and what he never received was the respect of music in general. You know, a lot of stuff he did, he never really got the credit for. He was always given to somebody else, or he was always overlooked. And then you go to Andre Harrell. I mean, where would 90s music be without Uptown? Like if Andre Harrell never got rid of P. Diddy or Diddy, Puffy, whatever you want to call him, each day of the week, we've had Bad Boy, we've had Biggie, we've had Mary J. Like his influence on music, and especially the music we grew up listening to in the 90s, is legendary. And then Betty Wright, if you lived in any Black household, like in the 80s and you were a child, Betty Wright was playing in your house either Saturday or Sunday.
Sunday morning.
either
Sunday morning before church, we're cleaning the house.
I was like Saturday or Sunday, depending on what house you're in. Because Sunday, some of us were in church on Sunday, some weren't. But Saturday or Sunday, when you had to get up at early in the morning thinking you're going to sleep in, and you hear that music, you already knew what was going down. It was cleaning time. You about to be the cleanup. We about to be the cleanup Negroes, so we're about to do the house. Yep. That's my take on it. So,
a lot of death this year, and I know people die all the time every year, but with the global pandemic, it's been even worse. You know, we almost lost Brad Jordan, Scarface. You know, we almost lost Jazzy Jeff. Both of those guys were seriously ill with COVID-19 and had lasting effects. Scarface is on dialysis now due to complications with COVID-19. So to have more natural deaths on top of those, the ones we've already experienced so far this year, is just sad. To be fair, Little Richard was, older. But the biggest thing about him is, rock and roll music is maybe the most influential Western or musical genre to come out of Western music, maybe in the last 70 plus years. After jazz, jazz was the biggest influencer of Western music, and then rock and roll came and changed everything, literally everything from music theory to the image in music to the way pop music kind of permeated down from that. And Little Richard was the originator of that. And like Danny said, he never got that respect for being that. Without Little Richard, there's no James Brown, there's no The Beatles, there's no Motown, there's none of those things.
Elvis.
Yeah, absolutely. There's none of those things without Little Richard. So we'll always remember his influence. I bet what's going to happen, he's going to be a bigger star in death than he was in his life, as if that was possible, as flamboyant as he was. But hopefully, that's what he would say if he heard us talking about him right now. So,
I mean, he invented the interruption of a Grammy speech, because didn't he do that before Taylor Swift did it?
He sure did.
And got a standing ovation. So it's like,
Hey man, it's 2020, man. We gotta just
throw this away.
We gotta uninstall the program, reboot it, and re-download it because this has a virus, man.
Kaz, it's your IT. Can you make some phone calls and get this thing?
Yeah, put in a ticket.
All right, there we go. We're gonna put a ticket in.
So how long will it take you to get to the ticket? July?
I got a bunch of other tickets in my queue. I'll get to rebooting the simulation sometime, and after the Murder Hornets go away.
Speaking of that, so here's the question: are we going to change the team name to the Murder Hornets now?
We need to.
Hey man, look, that would be dope. That would be dope.
No, because the NBA is the kinder, gentler NBA. We got rid of
they made the Bullets.
We got rid of the Washington Bullets, which I thought was a dope name for a franchise. They're the Wizards.
The Maryland Magicians.
I mean,
but I'm gonna get a Murder Hornets jersey and I'm gonna wear it to a game next season.
I mean, okay, you know what? Can we make them the Gangster Hornets? I'm sorry, with the ER Gangster Hornets. Just
yeah, maybe. Also, I've seen a
Beatty
lot of
Ford
Murder Hornets merchandise out there. Stop jacking
Black Air Force Ones.
Stop jacking the logo. I've seen it for all these Murder Hornets t-shirts and stuff I'm seeing out there. Don't steal our logo.
I mean,
Eric, we're gonna move into shout outs.
They might win. They might win more games with those the Motor Hornets than we did before. This is my team too. Like this is my team too.
I know. Look. The truth hurts sometimes.
Listen, not when you're immune to it. See, you haven't been a Hornets fan long enough. If you've been a Hornets fan long enough, this stuff doesn't hurt. Like we're used to it.
I'm pretty. Actually, this last season was the most fun I'd had as a Hornets fan.
Yeah,
it's like it doesn't hurt. Like if you could be a fan during 7 and 59,
yes.
If you can be a fan during the last year when they used it was a lame duck year, when you're watching games, or you could be a fan of the first year when you're watching games on CSET and how bad that was.
Woo.
Like I said, I if I can survive all that, this season's nothing.
Hey man, get ready for the Seattle Hornets in 2023.
It ain't happening.
No. The Las Vegas Murder Hornets.
The Las Vegas Murder Hornets.
I wonder what the logo looks like. Do we get a picture of Suge Knight dressed as a Hornet?
Club 666 in the back.
Club Lux.
Oh, they played the Bellagio.
Floyd Mayweather passing out, dropping dollar bills in the court somewhere. I'm all for it. Go ahead, Rodney.
All right, guys, we're gonna move into shout outs. I want to give a shout out to Erykah Badu and Jill Scott. I had my sage burning last night. I had my toes pointed to the east. My chakras were aligned. I had the libations flowing, and everything was just Ashe, Hotep.
Your computer's gonna burn in like 2 seconds, right?
Huh?
Your computer's gonna burn in 2 seconds.
It is.
I chose not to infect myself with Baduism on Friday. It has ruined many. I still have a little bit of great rapper qualities left in me. And if you are a rapper and you engage in Baduism, it's gone forever. So I couldn't risk that on Friday. But shout out to those women for doing. I know the culture needed that, and I know a lot of people really, really enjoyed that. But y'all got to get y'all's technicals better. We've been doing this long enough, right?
Yeah.
Well, last night their technicals was. I think they might have had the best technicals they've had in a while. With the exception of Erica's phone dying right before Tyrone. I think Tyrone pulled the plug on it anyway. But still,
irony.
Ironically, literally, they were about. She had just started to play the keys, and next thing you know, all you see is Jill on the screen. Now, not seeing Jill on the screen is a bad thing at all. But what I'm saying is, you're like, but Jill played Tyrone, so it's like but yeah, to that point, the ladies threw it down. I think it was 6 million people tuned in last night. It was like 750,000 at one time. Like. You have them all in the room. Like they blew away Babyface and Teddy Riley. I had my like to Roddy's point, I had my libations of Kool-Aid. I had my TV, my tablet, my cell phone, all tuned in. Like, I wanted to make sure my vote counted. I wanted to make sure my presence was felt. So, those ladies, you felt it in the room. Like it wasn't even a competition. They weren't even going track for track. They were just telling stories and playing music. Like you didn't care if it was a competition. It was, this song is better than that song. I thought it was going to be that way, but I'm like, you know what? After 3 hours and 25 minutes, I'm good.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I forgot what I was going to say, but thank you guys because I was about to say something mad. So thank you for joining Under Construction, and have a wonderful Sunday and happy Mother's Day. Oh, can you imagine being Tyrone? You're just a supportive friend, and they made a song about you, and everybody just hates you. All you did was be a supportive friend.
I mean, listen, like, and the way it was described, it was like poor Tyrone just caught it. Like, he ain't had no job. He can't use your
I know,
phone.
right?
Like, what happens if his car broke down? He can't use your phone. Like, if he's being chased by a bunch of murder hornets, you can't use the phone.
Real quick story about that song. When that song came out, I was deployed to Saudi Arabia. I think deployments all run together. But this was back when there was no such thing as cell phone or social media. Like when you were deployed, you were deployed. There was no, you were just cut off from the rest of the world. So when I came back, everyone's like, "Oh, Tyrone." Yeah, for those who don't know, Tyrone is my real name. So I come back and people are singing. I'm like, what the hell are y'all talking about? Like, I'm like completely out of the joke because for 6 months I was in the Middle East, had no idea what people were talking about with this Erykah Badu song about someone named Tyrone. I was like, what are y'all talking about?
That's
back
a
in
great
the
way to
good
come
old
back.
days with no cell phone.
I just can't believe Kaza said that he said with a little bit of rapping in his body, he wanted no part of Baduism. I just found it to be hilarious.
Hey man, look, do not look in her eyes. Don't
Oh
look
no!
in her
Oh,
eyes.
I couldn't.
Andre 3000, J Electronica. I can't.
DLC.
DLC.
Yeah. I can't risk it. It's too.
I mean,
too great.
but think about Kaza. If you had got Baduism, maybe you might not be a Panthers fan anymore. It might actually change your life. You might not be a Panthers fan anymore. You actually might start liking real football for once.
No, can't do it. No, I don't. I think once you've been infected with Baduism,
you don't like sports
football at all. Yeah,
you don't like sports.
Common did that poetry.
You watch Japanese baseball.
He was in that movie. He was in that movie, that basketball movie.
Common did poetry at the All-Star game. He didn't rap. He did poetry.
He was in that movie.
Wait.
But didn't he play a basketball player in the movie?
Yeah, the Queen Latifah back in the day, remember?
Yeah, so he was in basketball. I mean, he didn't give up basketball. I mean,
no, he was just in the movie, man. Like,
but his character.
Sometimes it takes time to fully.
He's watching anime in the back.
Yo, she really did have Bruce Lee in the background, didn't she?
She did. She sure did. She had Bruce Lee play. She was taking his energy from Bruce Lee.
It was like watching the scene of The Last Dragon.
Yo, she's a strange one, man. And let's talk about Jill Scott looking so beautiful.
Don't you do that. Stay in your lane, please. Okay.
A beautiful John, as my Philadelphia people would say. That's a beautiful John. Sir,
you haven't even crossed the Mason-Dixon line. I always want to hear that. Stay over there. Stay in your. You remember what I posted on your Facebook page? So, for those who don't know, like I said, on Rodney and I, we're all friends on social media. Rodney made a post about Jill Scott, being a good-looking John, as he just called it, and I had to use the Daffy Duck gif. If you don't remember Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny, there was a cartoon when it was rabbit season. I think it was rabbit season, duck season, where Bugs was trying to come out the hole, and Daffy was stepping on his head the whole time, like mine, stay in the hole. Rodney, stay in your hole, please. Leave Jill alone.
Look, man, she's a man eater too, man.
Don't make me go to Tekashi 6ix9ine to your wife on this one.
She's right here. She hears me. I have nothing to hide. All right, gentlemen. But thank you so much for joining us, Danny. Happy Mother's Day to all the women out there.
Happy Mother's Day.
You are appreciated. Love you. Have a good weekend. Stay safe. The corona's not gone, so please keep the mask on.
Just because the state is reopened, that don't mean you can go wild.
Y'all states reopened.
Look,
our beaches are open. Our beaches are open.
Look, that's just as bad.
No, I still can't go do anything. I can't go get a haircut. I'm looking like you. So I mean, listen, I'm not even putting my head down this one. So we're not doing that.
My hairline's still intact.
Mine's going Little John right now, so we ain't doing this right now.
All right, man. Catch y'all later, man. Appreciate y'all.
All right, y'all. Y'all have a good one.
You too.
Hey, Kaza, happy birthday, my man.
Happy birthday, Kaza.
My birthday, so I'm gonna get this itis real quick.
Hey, man, listen, you deserve it, bro. You an IT and it's your birthday. Drink, be merry.